Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here for Popternative. Speaking of JP Saxe about his new record, Dangerous Levels of Introspection, which is now out. JP, welcome to Popternative. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, the new record is out. I just said it in my intro. I mean, has it hit you that it's out, man?
You are getting me at peak 7 a.m. enthusiasm. It has it hit me? Yes. You know, I've lived with these songs for a really long time and have a really intimate relationship with all of them. So to see people having just in the first few days of having their relationship with this songs has been something I've been fantasizing about for quite a long time.
Well, I think too, in the age of streaming and, because you have, over 11 million people on a monthly basis on Spotify that listen to JP Saxe. I mean, it hits so quick. So, I mean, it's funny because we know the landscape and everything. I mean, does it still blow your mind though how quick it hits, it's out and then instantly it has this big listening fan base? It's pretty crazy.
It still blows my mind that people can listen to my music in rooms that I'm not in.
Yeah, exactly. It's unbelievable. This record, I mean, there's a lot going on in this record. Genre bending, I think, is a big trend in music right now, where a lot of artists are kind of experimenting, testing the waters a little bit, not limiting themselves to one genre. One can make an argument that JP Saxe is a little bit of a genre bending artist. You have a lot of kind of sounds, a lot of things going on. Do you agree with that statement a little bit, that you are kind of experimenting with sounds and you're not maybe just one genre of music, JP?
I have a couple thoughts on that. My more general thought on that is I think genre becomes less and less relevant year over year. Because, if you're listening to music in the late 90s, you're buying an album from a section of a music store and you're listening to that album and then you're going back and probably buying another album from that section of the music store. Whereas if you're finding music in 2021, you have access to all of the music from all of the places, from all of the people. And I think with that comes, new young musicians falling in love with songwriting from all directions.
Yeah.
So genre becomes less relevant. My more personal answer to that question is the driving force of my songwriting is lyricism.
Yep.
And I find that the consistency in my writing is in the lyrics. So at least in my opinion, because of that, I allow myself the freedom to explore musically wherever I want.
Yep.
Because as long as I'm writing in a way that feels consistent, musically it can bounce around.
Absolutely. Can you share a little bit what the selection process and mindset was with this new record? I mean, you have this idea of these songs that kind of go on this record. I'm sure, you have a lot of songs that maybe didn't make the cut or didn't kind of make the album. What was that selection process like for you and your team?
I would say there's probably 50 songs seriously considered.
Yeah.
And then once I got it down to 20, it was about experimenting with the order of the songs. And then once I got it down to 15, it was experimenting with order. And then I was like, I really want it to be 13. And then it was getting the 13. I'd be like, okay, here are the songs. And then I probably changed the order 1,100 times. There is not a moment on this album that didn't have its 3 a.m. obsessing over how it could be the most detailed, emotional possible thing. Truly every millisecond on this album got obsessed over at one point at 3 a.m. I changed the order so many times that, track 8, 9, 10 are all connected.
Yep.
To your last question about genre, track 9 and track 10 couldn't be more different musically, but they are fully connected. And I think because of the tone of voice, they still, to me, feel like they're consistent. To other people, totally up to them. That might seem like a total left field, punch in the face. But I wanted there to be a moment where all the songs were connected on the album. I wanted interludes, but I changed the order so many times that I kept making obsolete interludes. I have 8 or 9 interludes from different track listings of this song that just no longer could be used because they weren't going into songs that were in the right order anymore.
I didn't think about the order. Like I was thinking more like because like it didn't surprise me when you said like 50 and then it went to 20. Like I know about that for sure, but like the order interests me. Like that interests me. The order of the songs. That's true. I didn't think about that much.
It's like writing a set list,
Yep.
except it's a set list of a show that will become permanent.
Permanent.
You
Sure.
know,
Absolutely.
when I make a set list on tour, if you know because you think about it, the way I think about a set list is you're emotionally teeing people up for each song.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I've seen it performing. I've seen, a song hit extremely hard and then put it in a different place in the set and the audience just isn't in it.
Yep.
Because you have to consider the air between songs. What is the emotional space someone is in and what are they going to be receptive to?
Yeah.
And I've thought about that for years in set lists. But when I'm on tour, if it doesn't work one night, I change it the next night. But with the album, that is what it is. That is in stone for the rest of time. If you pick up that album and listen to it, whatever space you're in at the end of I Shouldn't Be Here is the space you're in going into Dangerous Levels of Introspection. Whatever space you're in at the end of What Keeps Me From It is the space you're in going into For Emily. And I knew that if I got that wrong, the songs wouldn't meet people as open as I wanted them to be met by these songs.
It's like what like so that day where it was like this is it. This is what the record's gonna be when it's like there's no turning back, like it's sent to like the labels and everything. That must have been a pretty crazy day too then.
The day we decided it was done, I felt confident,
Yep.
only in that I felt I had tried every option. There was no stone unturned on this process.
Absolutely. Music runs in your family. You have relatives that you're musicians as well. So for you growing up, did it just kind of happen that you were a singer-songwriter, or did you kind of like gravitate to it at some point more seriously? Like what was your path of music growing up like?
Yeah, I mean, first thing I wanted to be was a baseball player.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to be a basketball player. And then back to wanting to be a baseball player.
You kept it in sports. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then for a bit, I wanted to be an anthropologist. And then, and then I wanted to work for NGOs. And then I found songwriting. And then it just wouldn't go away. I just felt so myself writing songs. I was a shy kid growing up. I was shy. I was insecure. I didn't know how to feel okay with myself.
Yeah.
And it wasn't till I was like 15, 16, sitting down at a piano, writing, albeit not very good songs, but how are they supposed to be good? They're 15 and I'm not Billie Eilish.
Yeah.
15-year-old songs that, just the quality didn't matter. It was what mattered was that I was realizing what it felt like to create something beautiful out of the emotions that scared me. And to this day, I sit down at the piano and I feel like I'm getting to know myself the same way I did when I first did it as a 15-year-old.
100%. Collaborations and features are a huge thing in music. You arguably have one of the biggest and most popular collaborations out there in the last 5 years. What is from the artist perspective, what is so appealing about a collaboration and a feature? Is it the fact that kind of two artists that might not be the same genre like joining forces? Is it safe to say that's it?
Yeah. PD, I think about music as a team sport.
Yeah.
Even as a solo artist, it's a team sport on so many levels. There's so many things involved in making this work. And my favorite part of being a musician for a long time has been the community around music. Yeah. Growing up in Toronto, the songwriter community is where I found my first closest friends. That was my world. So I don't intend for that to ever change. My community of music is just growing. If I'm a fan of somebody's music, I want to make music with them. That's a fun process. And, there's no reason not to. It's such an open door to collaborate. So when it can work, it's such an exciting thing.
Absolutely. And it's one of those things too where, but from the fans' perspective too, it is exciting when they see a collaboration with two of their favorite artists too. You understand that perspective of it as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love it when I see my artists that I love working together. Mm-hmm. So I just think for all kinds of reasons, if it's something that I've always just gone about organically, I've never been in a marketing meeting with my label being like, you should work with this person because of these reasons. It's never been that. It's always just been like, yo, I love your music in the DMs. And then
Absolutely.
seeing what happens.
Oh, for sure. You mentioned, lyrics is a big, like your lyrics are a really important part of your songwriting process, and you really put the emphasis on lyrics. So kind of to add to that whole thing, when people listen to JP Saxe, what are you hoping they get out of it?
Yeah, it's a good question. My favorite songs are ones that are so transparent and so candid that it feels like having a conversation with one of my best friends.
Yep.
And I think the phenomenon of having a conversation with one of your best friends in a song is, I'll paint the picture. You and I have known each other for 10 years. You're talking to me about something that you're going through in your life, whether it be, something with your family, something with your relationship, something with an ex. You're talking to me about it.
Yep.
And if you're talking to me about it, like really getting into the details, really working through it, what I'm probably doing is thinking about how I relate to that. Because if I think about how I relate to it in my life, then I can empathize with you about it.
Yep.
Now, if you're a song and then I'm connecting with myself the way I would listen to my best friend, you're not really there. So then I'm just left with that part of myself. I'm just left with that, whatever I just accessed to empathize. And then I get to then have that relationship with the part of myself that's maybe hard to get to without the song. That's my hope for this music. I don't really give a shit what people think about me. Mm-hmm. My hope for these songs is that when you listen to them, they bring you closer to a part of yourself that's a little bit harder to access without the songs.
Absolutely. No, that's amazing. JP, I wanted to thank you so much for coming on Popternative and chatting about the new record. I really appreciate it, man. Seriously.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So it's out now. They can listen to it wherever they listen to music and stream music, the record. And where can people follow you on social media to keep up to date with everything?
Wherever people follow people, I would be honored to be one of those people. And yes, the album is out, and I will be touring in Canada in the fall. And there is nothing quite as wonderful as singing these songs with you in the same room. So you're all invited.
Absolutely. And congratulations on the Juno, by the way.
Thank you so much.
No problem. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative. For previous episodes, JP Saxe's new record is out now. Until next time, it's JP Saxe and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.